Hello, my lovely and lovable Taurus. This is your November 2017 horoscope with me, Lada from Astrolada.com. For anyone who has their ascendant, very important to mention, Sun or Moon in Taurus. Sun and Moon are secondary, but still check them. And before I start, I have lots of good news, by the way, for you this month. But before I start, quickly, I want to say, go check out the new webinars that I'm doing in collaboration with astrologers. World famous astrologist Nicola Stojanovic is making a new webinar sometime in November towards the end about the best aspect in your horoscope and how to cash out on it, how to use it in your career, how to find the best part in your horoscope and basically focus all your energy there if you want things to happen easy and to be supported by the universe. Also, Robert Phoenix, towards the end of October, on the 28th, is making a webinar about Saturn in Capricorn. This is an astrologer I can listen to for hours. This is someone that I'm in deep awe with. So he'll talk about how Saturn will affect us for the next 3.5 years. You know, you can just put him on and listen to him for hours. He has amazing predictions for the world and personal. Then Heather is doing a webinar on the in conjunction aspects in a horoscope. I personally don't know much about it. I haven't used it because it's a minor aspect and there's very little on the internet about it, and I don't have it. And when you don't have such an aspect in your horoscope, kind of, I don't care, but she's researched it in depth and what it means. So if you really want to understand about it, you know, check it out. And of course, I think we have, and there is astrology, ancient astrology with Roman Korev, world-known astrologer, who is making a webinar on Mesopotamian astrology using the fixed Babylonian zodiac and the foundations of it. Okay, let's get to the start of Taurus. Let's see what's happening, guys. You see, the biggest action this month in November is happening in you're Taurus, you're here. It's happening opposite you, in the sector that's connected with others. You know, all the planets, the 7 visible planets that we care about are focused here. Mars is here in Libra in the 6th house. Jupiter, Venus, and the Sun are in your 7th house. Mercury and Saturn are in your 8th house. These are the major players, the visible planets, basically, that make tangible events. So we have to pay attention for them. So a lot of focus on others, guys. Don't try to do things alone. I gave the same advice to Aries because for them it's also focused there. Be socially active. Focus on relationship. Focus on collaborating with others. On resolving your issues with others. There will be a lot of support for that. And doing things, you know, will be just a lot of your actions will be dependent on other people in a good way. I'm not saying that you'll be, you know, cornered by the wall and can't do anything on your own. It's just that the support comes and the whole action comes from being more social, being more active, collaborating with others. Now let's look one by one what the planet means. Well, Mars the whole month is in your 6th house. And that happens once 2.5 years, that Mars triggers for about a month and a half, your 6th house, Taurus. So watch out, first of all, for little small accidents, cuts, burn, hurts, because 6th house is kind of, you know, in an in conjunct aspect of the ascendant. This is what in conjunct means, something that is kind of awkward, something that is a little bit stressful to the physical body. That's why 6th house is known the house of health problems and enemies and irritations and problems in the daily life. So Mars can increase those to some extent, like irritants and enmities with others can increase a little bit, but at the same time Mars gives you the courage not to avoid them and to deal with them and to tackle them. So Mars likes being in the 6th house because yes, it provokes some of those less balanced situations like enmities and little health problems and things like that, but at the same time it helps you bring them to your awareness and you're not afraid to go after with a martial energy and fight them, you know. So what can you expect? Some little, you know, inflammations are possible, some health irritations that happen, you know, So it's good not to, overindulge if some health problems come to the surface to pet, and they are triggered not because of something hereditary or whatever. Sixth house is illnesses and problems that come to us because we've overworked, we don't eat enough, or we eat too much, or we don't eat the right foods for us, or we don't walk straight, or we sit too long. Things depending on our lifestyle, but also your lifestyle becomes very busy. With Mars in the sixth house, you become very busy at work, because sixth house is our daily routines. So work can be a lot of, you can be putting a lot of energy in fixing things, getting a lot of small tasks done that you've been postponing. For example, you tackle them fearlessly. That's the good side of Mars in the sixth house. The work environment can be very dynamic, Mars in the sixth house, more competitive. Expect that people will be more competitive in your office, maybe more driven, maybe they'll give you more. Also, if you're employed, they'll give you more duties and responsibilities, because Mars is about action, 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 or deadlines you have to rush after. If you're not employed, if you're self-employed, if you're employed by someone else, this is what happens. If you're self-employed, you just the duties and responsibilities pile up more. It speeds up, things speed up there. And if you're not employed, it's just your daily errands can increase, and you have to get a lot of things done and fix a lot of things as well. And Mars rules your relationships. It's in the sixth house, so it's about fixing also problems in relationships. But let's see, you have a lot of support actually when it comes to collaborating with others in relationship, because the two benefics, Jupiter and Venus, will be in your seventh house of relationships. What does that mean? Well, November can be a very auspicious time for some Tauruses, first of all, to meet someone that will be for a longer time in their life. Seventh house is about commitment. And might not be necessarily a lover. It can be a collaboration, a partnerships. It can be a friendship. It can be just some persona that opens doors in some way for you, because Venus and Jupiter, two benefic planets, they want to help you. So it's like angels are sending their messages to you through others by connecting you to someone, helping you. It might be a teacher figure of some sort, might be a friend. But for those of you who are single, that might be a time, or who are in a relationship already. If you're single, you might meet someone. The chance in November increases, especially because Jupiter becomes visible in November. It was invisible for a month and a half before that, which means that sometime in November, Jupiter becomes 5 times stronger than other times. It's in phase, and it's moving forward, which means that new things come to your life. All the planets are moving forward, by the way, Taurus, which means this November is such a rare time when all planets move forward, for you to move forward with your life, to move ahead, new experiences to come that are not familiar. And Venus are moving forward in your seventh house, those experiences also come through relationships. If you're already in a relationship, you can benefit somehow through a partner, through your partner. You can have healing of a relationship, or something good can come in your relationship. Something more positive can come, something fertile. These two planets are very fertile in your seventh house. They can, literally they can do that, fertile, and they can do it figuratively, that the relationship is enriched in some ways, fertilized more. So if you have some business plans or some negotiations, contracts that you need to sign, I would say that this is a good time, because seventh house is the house of promises, contracts, and when two benefics are there, it's do it basically. They would kind of, especially if your ascendant is in Taurus, to a lesser degree Sun or Moon, but still you would have the protection from the seventh house, because there's this angelic support from Jupiter and Venus that comes to you when it comes to contracts, agreements, commitments, relationships. So taking a relationship to the next level can be also positive. And if you're released of some relationship, it's not going to be painful. It's going to be like healing, like transform. It's because, yes, it's Scorpio. Scorpio can bring transformations, but it's healing influence, because those two gentle planets there say that even if I release you from a relationship now, it's one that it's like bound for your soul, so to speak, that removes some trauma in your life. Okay, so collaborate with others, that's good. Business people in business can be better at negotiating now, can be more business partners, better clients of some sort. So use that energy wisely, benefit from it. And then we have Mercury and Saturn in your 8th house. Mercury will be there for 2.5 months because it will become retrograde again at the beginning of December. But for now, they're all moving forward, so they can be, you know, especially some new developments in regards to matters connected to mutual resources, taxes, finances, and investments that come to you from others, your partner's resources. But let's see something, because this is the last time Uranus is making a trine. Uranus is in your 12th house here. And it's the last time Uranus is making a trine to Saturn in your 8th house. And it's going to make the trine to Mercury as well towards the end of the month. And a trine is a very auspicious aspect, guys, 120 degrees. Is an aspect that is harmonious, that helps you, that manifests in a way that is without resistance. So let's try and this can mean. And I haven't even prepared for that. I like to go spontaneously now. And okay, what is this? 12th house is something hidden. You see the house kind of behind you. So some kind of a hidden support can come to you. Hidden new support. Uranus is something new. Saturn is something old. Some hidden support can come to you to help you with mutual resources, say some long-lasting Saturn, something that's long-lasting problem or issue that's been happening in regards to mutual resources with your partner, or some investments, or some taxes, or some inheritance, or some bank loan that you're expecting, or some kind of money that comes to you from others, whether it's your partner's money, whether it's kind of a child alimony, you know, whether it's money from government or whatever, or whether it's money that you're expecting from clients. You know, this is all the 8th house. So some hidden maneuvers or actions behind the scenes can help you kind of resolve an issue there. Some hidden support can help with that in some way. And another way that can happen is that you release something. 12th house is about letting go, and Uranus is about suddenly letting go something. And it might be psychological disconnection. It doesn't matter, but it releases you from 8th house matters, from some long-standing Saturn trauma, for example, from long-standing pain, maybe some kind of a sudden realization stemming from past lifetime. Uranus is sudden, 12th house is past lifetimes, the past, buried memories, hidden memories, something that comes to your surface. And because of that, you resolve some pain and trauma. 8th house is things that have more control over ourselves. Ourselves, it might be addiction, it might be obsession, it might be another person, it might be trauma that we've experienced that we're holding on to. So Taurus, you know, there is the possibility for release from some pain and some pain belief system as well, because Saturn is in Sagittarius, and 8th house is about trauma or hurt. So some kind of a pain belief system, or how you perceive reality that's been painted more darker in your mind, and there is some kind of a something suddenly that can release it. Uranus, you know, something that happens almost like on a subconscious level. It might be even on a physical level that releases some trauma that's related to a long-standing pain, chronic pain. 8th house also rules not only emotional stress and pain and trauma, it rules also chronic physical pain. So some kind of a sudden subconscious release. Uranus, the 12th house, Mars is a very physical sign as well, can release you from, even without realizing, can release you from some kind of a chronic condition, emotional, mental, or physical. Okay, there are thousands of ways I can interpret the 12th and the 8th house, good influence between those two planets. Okay, what else can happen? Or maybe 8th house and Saturn in the 8th house is some problems with intimacy. That if you have, you know, if there have been some problems with intimacy, some problems with moving on. 8th house, the house of big transformations, and Saturn being in your 8th house, it possibly has made it very hard for many of you Tauruses in the last 2 years and something while Saturn was in your 8th house to make a crossover from one emotional state to another, because 8th house if there is easy planets there, they allow you to kind of transform your feelings and to heal trauma. If there's a difficult, constipated planet like Saturn, you might be hung up on all feelings or on mental state or physical state that is locked in you. 8th house is about, you know, 8th house wants the transformation, but Saturn does not allow the transformation because of pain that you're locked on or something like that. It's just Saturn. It slows things down. Saturn blocks things. And Uranus, though, speeds things up and breaks the barriers of Saturn. And Uranus making this good aspect to Saturn in a harmonious way, some hidden support, maybe some foreign travel that you can do. Think about it. 12 house faraway places. Some foreign travel that you can do that can release you from some, help you finally to move, to integrate whatever pain is there, and to help you move over the bridge, to help you integrate that pain rather than be stuck on it and move on the other side. Also, 8th house is to do with intimacy. If there were some intimacy issues, maybe foreign travel, or maybe some kind of healing procedure. 12th house in a spiritual way, whether meditative, whether maybe you can do some meditation, that's a past life regression. 12th house that suddenly releases you from some issue and gives you explanation of why you're stuck on some negative mental state or difficult situation and you can't bridge it over, and why the healing is so prolonged. Saturn in the 8th house is about prolonged healing. You know, healing is like trying to do it, but why is it not happening? And Uranus here can give you a, you know, some insight, powerful insight. Uranus is very intellectual. Or kind of almost subconscious healing because it's in the 12th house, or some kind of travel or spiritual work, or prayer can be answered and help with that, or can help with mutual resource problems, or some secret venture you do. Mars, Aries is initiative. 12th house, something secret. Uranus is something new. Some new initiative that you do can help solve a problem with some problem with taxes if you've had, with some problem with inheritance. Something you do behind the scenes can help you, like basically that's not announced, that you're preparing behind the scenes, that you're working on secretly, so to speak, or even you might not be aware of it. Someone secretly or without announcing you helps you with such matters which are connected to other people's resources. We talked about that already, didn't we? Yes, and there is like some kind of a easy breakthrough, because it's now it's about that, and maybe it's your own actions. Mars is about actions, taking initiative with some new activities that are hidden or private or more spiritual in nature. Or 12th house is also about letting go and forgiveness. So maybe some forgiveness and letting go can happen on a deep spiritual level within your almost physical level, because it's Aries, that sudden illumination that allows you to release something Saturnian, something old trauma of some sort. And it's also about building positively on old things with new things. So how can it play? If you have some secret projects that you're working on, something that you haven't announced, something that you're researching, preparing, and all the figures, Saturn can help you with that research trine aspect. If you're doing some kind of preparations or working behind the scenes on some project, you can receive support from someone more experienced, or someone that is, you know, someone, especially material support, or support with their resources and skills. 8th house, other people's skills, resources, of someone who is more with more seniority of some sort, or age seniority of some sort as well. Or maybe they can be healing that helps you release something. 12th house again about releasing, that comes from a foreign older doctor. But there's so many ways that we can interpret that, for example. But I'm just trying to tell you how astrology, how we can combine the different influences and in what ways it can play out. Or if you have mutual resources with your partner, you want to hide, now you can do that, because you know Uranus is in your 12th house. You can get some brilliant idea to, you know, to to get investments that you have together, storage resources with your partner, and to utilize them for some private project, or to invest them in something secretive without being found out. Okay, I don't know if I should be giving such advice. So anyway, thank you so much, Taurus. Hope that was helpful for you. A lot of focus on other people, remember. And yeah, by the way, the eclipse point is being activated by the Sun and Venus again in November. So if you have anything around the 27 degree of November of Leo or Aquarius, you know, remember the eclipse that happened in August. It will keep being activated for 2 years after that. Every time there is a transit in one of the fixed signs, so something more unexpected and shocking can happen if you have any planets around the degrees or angles around the degrees of the eclipse. But that's for more advanced people who do not know better astrology. So thank you so much, Taurus, and I will see you next month. And I'm looking forward to having you on the new webinars.